I am super excited to share with you 5 things that I did last year that helped me reach my inspired resolution. This is Tamara Anderson, and I am going to be sharing the unique story of my inspired resolution that I had last year, because I don't know about you, but so many times I have set New Year's resolutions and then never achieved them. And so they sit like a little Post-it note on my wall, reminding me that I'm not doing anything about it. And you know how that makes me feel? It makes me feel lousy, right? And so I hate it when I make a resolution and then never reach that goal. So last year I had an epiphany and I said, I'm going to do this differently. I want to be able to set a goal that I can totally reach. So the first thing that I did was not set it on January 1st. I was traveling back from visiting family, and then the next day I had to get my kids back in school. And so I just decided, you know what? I'm going to think about my goal this year because I want to set one good goal. That is what I did. So here we are. 5 steps to crush your goal this year from my inspired resolution. It's an article I just wrote on medium.com. If you're interested in looking up the full article, I'm just going to summarize it here and maybe give you a few more details. So the first thing I decided I needed to do was I needed to build a list, because I wanted to pick the best goal. And the first thing that I did is I took just several weeks and I wrote down goals that I've had for years. Some of them were simple goals like stop biting my fingernails, which I still haven't finished that goal yet, to more complex goals, even losing 10 pounds, which I'm sure anybody over 40 has had that goal, right? So I made this list. It was probably, by the time I finished, it was probably 15 to 20 items long. And I took time because there was one day that I thought of this, and then I was going through my day and I thought, oh, I should make that goal. And so I wrote it on the list. And so this list gradually got longer. And finally I said, okay, this list is good enough. And this is where I had my light bulb moment. I decided that I was going to pray about which goal I wanted to set as my New Year's goal. And so I took the list that I had just made and I decided to pray about it. Because I knew that if anybody knew which goal I was supposed to make for last year, I knew it was going to be God. And I knew that He would know which goal is the best one, the one that would improve me the most. And so I prayed about it, and I took my list with me when I prayed. And so I knelt down and I had my list and I just said, God, please help me find the goal that is the best goal for me this year. And I sat there and I thought about the list. I read him the list. I thought about the list. And sometimes I get answers in different ways. And this particular time, as I was looking at my list, it was almost like God took a mental highlighter and highlighted one of the goals. And it stood out on the list more than any other goal. And that goal was to finish writing and begin the publishing process on my book. I had been writing a book for like 10 years, but it was one of those things I did like in the cracks and crevices of my time. And I hadn't really taken it seriously. And when God told me, this is the goal I want you to work on this year, I will be honest with you, I was really intimidated by that goal. Because of all the things on my list, 10 pounds sounded easier to lose than writing and publishing a book. It just did, because I knew the least amount about writing and publishing a book. And so the idea in and of itself totally intimidated me. And so I had a decision to make at this point. I decided, do I really trust God on this, that this is the best goal for me this year. And as scary as that goal was, I decided I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to work on writing and publishing this book this year. And that was scary. I made that goal at the end of January. So it took me a while. It took me a while to be able to figure out what goal I was going to do and then commit to doing it, because it was the goal that totally intimidated me the most. And see, these items are applicable to anyone in any circumstance. You too can make a list. You too can pray about the one thing God wants you to do this year. The third thing I had to do was commit and take some action, right? I like this picture of this guy running, because it's one thing to set a goal, but it's another thing to set a goal with God. And when you set it with him, you know that he's got your back, right? You know that he can help you achieve that goal because he's God, right? Nothing's impossible to God. And so I set my goal. I said, I'm going to do it. Even though this goal totally scares the heck out of me, I'm totally going to do it. I'm going to commit. I'm going to do it. And so I did. I knelt down the next day and I prayed and I said, okay, God, I'm going to commit. I'm going to do that goal, but I need your help because this goal really scares me. And so I started doing some research on the internet, trying to figure out what was the next step for me with my manuscript, because I'd kind of gotten it like the year before to a point where I couldn't think of anything else to say because I'd never done that before. And so I knew I needed a developmental editor. I knew that I had to find a good editor. And so I started looking online and I found all this advice about, okay, if you're going to do publishing, you need to climb the mountain this way. And another article would say, no, go this way, go this way. And so the more I researched, the more confused I got. And finally, after trying to find developmental editors, I finally just turned to God and I said, look, I am so confused at this point. I know you want me to do this goal. I need you to open a door for me because I don't know how to do this. This is totally new. I feel like a little boat in a big sea, and I don't know which way to go. And so I kind of took my obstacle and I put it on God and I said, open a door for me because I don't know which way to go. And a few days later, I was scrolling through Facebook and I happened to notice that one of my favorite authors, Richard Paul Evans, was doing a premier author training. And it happened to be just like an hour and a half away from my house. And I thought, that might work. And I felt really good about it when I was reading about it online, and it was expensive. So I was like, I don't know if I want to fork out the money. But I prayed about it and I felt really good. And so the next thing was talking to my husband about it. And so I went to my husband and I said, hey, look, I found this online. He, of course, knew about my goal for the year. And I said, what do you think? And it bless his heart. He said, do it, Tamara, just do it. And so 30 minutes later, I had signed up for the Premier Author Training with Richard Paul Evans. And that was my next step, which was investing in myself and my goal. And so I took the plunge. Sometimes an investment is money, sometimes it's time. And my goal required a little bit of both. And so I took the money investment and I went to this seminar, and it was perfect. It was exactly what I needed. He told us the ins and outs of publishing, how to market, how he introduced us to editors. It was fascinating. I met people I needed to meet. And I also gained a group of people that had a similar goal and were working towards it. And we became like a little community of, we cheer each other on, and it was fantastic. And so that was the perfect goal for me. That was the perfect thing to invest myself in. So that was the first thing I did, or the fourth thing I guess I did. And then I had to invest the time. I had to cut out some things like browsing more on Facebook. I had to wake up earlier. I found a lot of good work time for me was before my children or anybody else got up in my house. In fact, my husband commented several times, why are you up so early? And sometimes it was late into the night. They were downstairs watching a movie. I was upstairs working because I knew I had committed it and I wanted to be sure that I fulfilled this goal, but I wanted to be sure that I was putting all of my time and effort into it. And so it became month after month of Tamara working and doing different things and getting a website up and learning about that and writing and editing with editors. And it was a huge and long process. And along the way, I had to learn this. I had to learn to build trust with God. And I like this picture because it shows a guy walking down a hallway. And that's how I felt. I felt like I was walking down a hallway looking for new doors to walk through. And when I'd come to a door, sometimes it was closed to me and I didn't understand why. In the years previous to this year, I had given my manuscript to 2 publishing companies and it came back rejected. And I felt really discouraged by that. Part of that trusting is God, is trusting that the doors that are closed to you aren't the doors you're supposed to go through. Even though you may think they're super great doors, that God will open the right door for you at the right time. And so that is the neat thing about working with God on a goal, is that you can accomplish it and he will open the right doors. There's a fantastic quote that says, when you make a commitment, the universe conspires to make it happen. And I found that to be true this last year. Anytime I hit an obstacle, I took it to God and he would open the right door. It was fantastic. At the end of this year, I was so excited. I finished my goal. I submitted my manuscript to an agent, and I'm excited to hear back and see how things go. But I wanted to invite you out there that are also struggling with making goals and setting goals to commit, to try something new this year, to set one goal that really makes a difference. And to do this, I have made an Inspired Resolutions workbook detailing my 5 steps that I took. And it takes you through the process in more detail than I did, but it'll help you make your list. It'll help you pray about it and discern which answer you're supposed to do, what thing you're supposed to do, and then commit and act on it. There's also some great goal sheets at the end that you can do on a monthly basis to setting mini goals for yourself. It's really great. Anyway, I'm excited to share that with you. You can get it free at tamarakanderson.com/offer. So that's free. My goal with what I do as an author is to inspire hope and help people reach their goals. So this is the way I found that I was able to reach my goal. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope that you have left feeling inspired, that you can make and set one goal and accomplish it with God, just like I did. If I can do it, you can do it. Bye.